Hello YouTube and welcome to Prime Productions. I'm here to help enhance your tabletop gaming experience. If you're new here, I'm a channel that focuses on Paizo tabletop role-playing games like Pathfinder and Starfinder. So, as of the posting of this video, Gen Con 2024 is still ongoing and Paizo has taken the opportunity of Gen Con to release a ton of new stuff. Player Core 2 officially launched, as did the Starfinder 2nd Edition playtest, and Paizo made a ton of announcements at their Gen Con Keynote address. I am not going to be able to cover it all, but I'm going to try. So, I do have a Starfinder 2nd Edition playtest video coming out hopefully tomorrow, but I wanted to cover the Paizo Gen Con 2024 Keynote address, because Paizo dropped a lot of huge updates and news. This address is almost an hour and a half long, so I tried to condense it down for you, link in the description below for the full address. So listen, writing and editing a script and doing video editing takes time. If I want to get all of this out in a timely manner, along with the Player Core 2 and Starfinder 2nd Edition videos, I'm gonna have to cut some corners. I may make some mistakes. There's just not enough time in the day to do graphics, editing, and triple check everything for typos, you know? So, this is going to be an unscripted, rambling video without a whole lot of interesting things to look at. I'm sorry. This is just going to be a quickie video where I summarize all the stuff released in the keynote address. Again, the link to the full official video will be in the description below. Okay, so let's get started. Eric Mona started off the address and basically just teed up the rest of the address and then tossed it over to Thurston Hillman and Jenny Jarbabaski. I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing her name, I know I am. Both of them are team leaders for the Starfinder development team. First, they talked about the Starfinder 2e playtest. There's a link to that playtest in the description below. It's a free PDF to download. They reiterated that it was almost all completely compatible with Pathfinder 2e, and then they reminded everybody of a cosmic birthday. They had talked about this before, but it is a first-level playtest module for Starfinder 2nd Edition. It does cost some money, but you can buy it right now as of the posting of this video. The primary gist of a cosmic birthday is that Octurne, this Pluto-like planet in Starfinder, exploded and a new god hatched out of it called the Newborn. They then talked about Empires Devoured, a 10th level module that is also for the Starfinder playtest, and that will be out in October, and it's about a war between the Veskarium and the Aslanti. They have talked about this before, but they did show this cool artwork of a Sahedron Guard, which is an elite Aslanti guardsman. In addition, they said that there are 2 playtest scenarios. These aren't modules, these are just scenarios that are both out right now. One is a level 5 and one is level 1. The first level one is called Shards of the Glass Planet, and the 5th level one is called It Came from the Vast. If you want to play those and you don't want to go through making a character, there are pre-gens for these 6 base classes that you can also download right now. They mentioned that the playtest ends at the end of the year, December 31st, I believe. I could be wrong about that. They did say that they expect Starfinder Player Core to be released next Gen Con 2025, so the full non-playtest game will release in 1 year. They then went on to talk about the Starfinder Galaxy Guide, which is coming out in May 2025 and will have 6 new ancestries, so it's coming out before the full rules of Starfinder is coming out. Seems like a cart before the horse situation to me, but what do I know? Like I said, there will be 6 new ancestries in the Galaxy Guide. 3 of them were revealed. They said that they're going to reveal the other 3 by the end of Gen Con, but so far as of the recording of this video, I only have 3, and those are the Astrozoan, which is a shape-shifting alien, the Dragonkin, who are large-sized, dragon-like humanoids, and the Kolo, who are, of course, the rename of the Gnolls, and this is just their Starfinder version. They also made a huge announcement, and that is that in early 2025, again before the full book comes out, there will be a playtest for the Technomancer and the Mechanic. And this is because the Technomancer and the Mechanic should be coming out in full early 2026. If I had to guess, the first big splat book for Starfinder is going to be some sort of technological splat book, and it will have the Technomancer and Mechanic in it, and again, that seems to be slated for early 2026. But the playtest for the Technomancer and Mechanic will be early 2025. Next up was Michael Sayer with the War of Immortals stuff. We've talked about this before. I had a couple of videos. They talked about it in a live stream. They talked about it at PaizoCon. Gorm is killed in the War of Immortals. It causes the God's Reign, which causes some mortals to gain mythic powers. We've all heard this before. Again, the War of Immortals will have 2 new classes, the Animist and the Exemplar. It's going to have new class archetypes. If you recall, class archetypes are special archetypes that change up how the base of a class works. They talked about a Warrior of Legend archetype, which is a class archetype for fighter, kind of based on Achilles, where you have a big weakness, but you can turn that into a strength. War of Immortals will also have mythic rules. They talked about how some mythic abilities will have generalized effects, like you can just decree that the land will be prosperous, and that'll buff your allies, but it'll also just, make the land better. For some reason, the crops just grow better after you declare the land will be prosperous, that kind of stuff. They also talked about the War of Immortals product line. That's a bunch of War of Immortals branded stuff that's coming out until the end of the year. Next up was James Jacobs to talk about those War of Immortals tie-ins. He mentioned Pray for Death, which is a module that should be out now. It is a high-level module where you play Red Mantis assassins who actually witness Gorm's fall. There are going to be 2 War of Immortals adventure paths. We talked about this before. Curtain Call is an 11 to 20 adventure path where you play people that are trying to get an opera off the ground based on your 1 to 10 adventure, and then apparently some sort of evil god and their cult tries to stop you for some reason. Triumph of the Tusk is the other adventure path. That's set in Belkzen, the land of the orcs, and deals with the aftermath of War of the Immortals. That's a low-level one. I think it's supposed to be levels 3 to 11. Next up was Luis Loza with Lost Omens Divine Mysteries. The release date for that is November 2024. There's going to be a lot of gods in there, both reprinted and new. He talked about a new gunslinger god from Arcadia, so there's a god of guns now. They talked about how there are going to be Sarkorian gods in this book, so the Stag Mother is going to be here. Side note, I actually play with a person right now who has a champion of the Stag Mother in a game we're both playing in. There's going to be pantheons in there, so the return of pantheons, those are, you can worship a group of gods together, and they have their own unique edicts and anathemas for the group. It's not that you have to obey the edicts and anathema of everyone in the pantheon. The pantheon has its own set of edicts and anathemas. Luis Loza in particular mentioned the Radiant Prism, which is a pantheon of Desna, Shelyn, and Sarenrae, and apparently they're all in a romantic relationship. I did not know that. Divine Mysteries will also have a bunch of class archetypes, including Battle Harbinger, which is a cleric that has even more limited spellcasting than a war priest, but also is a better fighter. The Palatine Investigator is an investigator who works with the Esoteric Order of the Palatine Eye, and that is the Investigator class, but they get some spellcasting. There's also going to be some new subclasses, like the Blight Oracle and the Paradox of Opposites Patron for the Witch. Mark Moreland was the next one to come out, and he talked about the God's Reign book. That's actually just a book. It's not a role-playing game book. It's like a fictional read-it-on-the-plane kind of book. And it covers how several of the Iconics band together to stop Rovagug from escaping his prison and breaking free and wreaking havoc on the world. There's going to be some digital exclusive books that you can also get that are more God's Reign stuff if you want. I've talked about all of this before. James Case then came out and talked about the 2 Tian Xia books. The first one, the World Guide, is actually already out, and it has new monsters, info on countries, new deities. Go check it out if you want. The Tian Xia Character Guide is coming out soon, and it is a more player option-based book. There are 6 new ancestries, like the Tanuki and the Sarenrae. I'm going to put all 6 ancestries on screen right now. There's also new heritages, like the Bakwa, who's a moon-eating lizard folk, not sure how that goes, and the Tsukiyomi heritage for Poppets, which is like a possessed item. There's new archetypes called the Medicine Collar and the Starlit Sentinel, which is just a magical girl, so yeah, you can now play Sailor Moon in Pathfinder if you want. They talked about some magical familiars like the Sundaflora and the Shikigami, who are like disposable familiars, like you can blow them up and then get a new one at the start of the next day. James Jacobs came back to talk about some more upcoming adventure paths and modules. Start of 2025, Claws of the Tyrant should be coming out. I don't think he had any images for us for this. Anyway, Claws of the Tyrant is a module. It's a standalone adventure, but it's actually an anthology of 3 shorter adventures that are all centered around the Gravelands, which is Tar-Baphon's domain. Then he talked about the Spore War, which I'm super excited about because that is a new 3-part adventure path that is high level, and it involves defeating Tree Razor, the super demon that's terrorizing the elves for the past however long. So you might actually get to defeat Tree Razor, and the elves might be able to reclaim some of their ancestral homeland. So I would be really excited to play that adventure path. Then, after Spore War, comes the Shades of Blood adventure path, which revolves around vampires, and at least it starts in the remains of old Aslant, those islands that got blown up. It's not supposed to be as horror-focused as it is action-adventure-focused, so if you're really creeped out by horror films, you might still be able to play Shades of Blood. Landon Winkler came out next, and he talked about a new book that's coming out in 2025 called Lost Omens Rival Academies. The story behind this is that a bunch of schools from around Galarian meet up to talk about the World Wound, which was this place where a bunch of demons used to be pouring into Galarian. It was closed in Pathfinder 1st edition, but there's still demons and demonic taint all around, and so you still have to deal with that, and these academies are trying to figure out how to deal with it, and also how to prevent stuff like that from ever happening again. This big meeting is called the 6 Schools Convocation, and of course when you get a whole bunch of academics together, there's a bunch of infighting and stuff, so of course shenanigans are going to ensue. There's going to be a lot of new class options, including the remastered Rune Lord class archetype. I'm really super excited about that because I built a Rune Lord wizard and then I never got to play them because the remaster project came out and totally changed how wizards work, and the Rune Lord class archetype kind of no longer works with the wizard. So I'd be really interested to see what this remastered Rune Lord class archetype does. Next came Jason Bullman and talked about the Pathfinder Quest board game. This is that board game that's coming out. We heard about it at PaizoCon, and it's basically just a board game that you can play. You can make your own character, and you complete a series of adventures that are in a book, and then when you complete the whole book of adventures, you've kind of completed a game. It's set in Falcon's Hollow in the Dark Moon Vale. There's feat and spell selection, there's an adventure book and a challenge book on how to deal with stuff. The backer kit for it is going to start in spring 2025. This was pushed back from winter of 2024, but there is a link that talks about getting started and can get some hype building for it. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below, and while you're down there, make sure to like and subscribe. That tells not only me, but also YouTube that you like this kind of content and want to see more. And until next time, thank you, good luck, and happy gaming!